Star Citizen is full steam ahead with development of some of its most anticipated features. Star Citizen's ship combat is supposed to be highly detailed, sim-like, have a load of depth, but also be balanced and fun. It's supposed to have big capital ships that you can multi-crew, and that's going to be contrasted by players running around in those ships or having fighters assault them. There are a huge amount of pieces to that puzzle, and they all need to be balanced. Unfortunately, we're not anywhere close to that yet, but there is a bundle of features that Cloud Imperium need to get in game. Fortunately, they do appear to be the current focus, or at least a lot of them are, and this is going to propel the game into its next level, and a lot of its core features will be completed. So there is a lot happening with Star Citizen's development currently, and Cloud Imperium Games are working towards a more finalised version of its flight, combat, and core ship mechanics. So Star Citizen is currently testing Master modes in Alpha 3.20. So this separates the flight of your ship into two distinct modes. Nav mode, where you can quantum travel and do quick sort of short quantum boosts and travel at cruising speeds above your SCM speed. However, you can't use your shields and weapons, so you are very vulnerable. SCM mode, which is Space Combat Maneuver mode, you can have access to all of your systems, shields and weapons, but you can't quantum travel and you can't go above your SCM speed. Well, you can sort of potentially use your boost or afterburner to get a bit of extra speed briefly. So this is currently being tested with just the Gladius. Eventually, Cloud Imperium will have to implement it for all the ships, but it is a big change. It makes combat more deliberate, it helps to prevent jousting, there are real dangers to fight versus flight, and it's kind of interesting. I'm a bit concerned on how we're supposed to catch people that immediately decide to flee or decide to flee during a battle if they get any form of distance from you, but we'll have to wait and see exactly what is going on with that in the future. The resource management system is something I want to talk about. So this is actually a collection of features and systems core to spaceships and structures in Star Citizen. At the most basic level, it is the circuitry of a ship or structure and the movement of resources between components. Under that umbrella of resource management systems, there is a ton of features going on. So there's damage control. The circuitry of a ship and the components there, they can be disrupted and damaged, power can be rerouted, there are relays that require maintenance that can sort of blow or get damaged or whatever as well. This allows for engineering gameplay to manage power systems and fix physical damage to components and relays or swap them out, maintain them. General maintenance and repair is also going to be a thing. Physical components, that's not just circuitry of a ship, so each individual component can be damaged. You're not going to have artificial health pools in Star Citizen anymore for your ship, or soft deaths or anything like that. A ship's state will be determined by the components and hull damage. If you take out a particular component, if you take out multiple components or the connectors to them, well, that's going to mean that ship's not functioning anymore and sort of dead in space. There could be a catastrophic hit to a power plant which over damages it loads, and that could cause it to explode and blow up the ship, things like that. But a lot of the time ships are going to be disabled, not necessarily permanently, because players can fix them. Projectiles will need to hit on or near a component to damage it. If you want to sort of take out a power plant, you've got to shoot at the power plant and then take out all the ship's power plants. That ship is dead in the water or has to make some serious concessions of what it's doing. We will have at some point subsystem targeting as well, so we know that Cloud Imperium have been working on that for AI, so assumedly they're also working on it for players. Artificial gravity generators and life supporters are another couple of systems that they're working on, so these components are being worked on now, and they will add a lot of depth to the game. Life support will produce oxygen and breathable atmosphere in rooms, but only produce a certain amount, and ships with smaller life support systems won't be able to sustain many people before you'll sort of start running out of that delicious oxygen. Gravity generators, they were shown off many years ago, but this is only relevant to ships with interiors, really. Gravity can be turned off and on, and you can obviously destroy or disrupt either of those components as well. So you damage a gravity generator, you are going to lose gravity in your ship. Fires and extinguishing them. So fires can break out on your ship due to damage or misfire or malfunction, and fires will propagate based on the fuel and materials around them. This will also consume oxygen, and there are fire extinguishers that you'll be able to put things out with. I believe also that some ships have suppression systems, but if the fire runs out of fuel or you open a room into sort of space or whatever, that fire will eventually go out. But these will be genuine hazards on your ship as you run around trying to repair it or escape or assault or whatever. The true multi-core experience is something I briefly want to talk about here as well. So all of these systems together for the resource management system and sort of adjacent to it, they allow for true multi-crew, with ships needing stations managed for monitoring, power management, engineers to repair, pilots and gunners at their stations doing the main ship's functions, and sort of managing those various modes. A load of things to do, and reasons to do them. We do also know there is going to be a permission system too, literally being able to designate a player or NPC to have access to certain rooms and doors and systems. On your ship, for example, you could have Bob the engineer, who has access to his quarters and the doors leading to component access and engineering at the rear of the ship. He's an engineer. And then you could have Dave. He only has access to the left gun turret and his quarters because he's a gunner. Maybe he also has access to the common room and medical bay. Yeah, things like that. And obviously some way of exiting your ship. Cloud Imperium pushed the trespasser system from 3.20 to a later patch because it wasn't ready, but this will allow you to deal more easily with unwanted guests on your ship. This is basically a step towards the permission system. Just wanted to mention that. An honourable mention for a feature. Physical damage and damage types are another thing Cloud Imperium are working on, so ships will take appropriate hull damage based on the projectile and damage type of whatever's hit them. This is true of shields and armour and all that sort of stuff as well, but armour and hull, they're sort of going to be physicalised, and that projectile has to hit the precious component inside your ship to actually deal damage to it, or the characters inside to deal damage to them. So Cloud Imperium have been working on having ships break apart based on damage as well. We know that this is going to be used for the next iteration of salvage as well as munching, blowing large sections of ships and then making them into usable resources. Now, how can a ship be blown apart, or big chunks of a ship be blown off, more than just sort of like wings and things, when the ship isn't fully destroyed? Potentially, although there might just be states where a ship can no longer be repaired because it's had a catastrophic failure of one of its systems and it explodes, or when you've salvaged it to a certain state and you started munching it, ripping off large sections of it, maybe it can no longer be repaired. I think that's sort of something worth thinking about, right? We don't 100% know how that's going to work. We do know there's going to be visible signs of wear, dirt, and repair on hulls. A lot of that's in game now, but it's going to get better and better. There are going to be shield projectors as components as well that I believe are on the exterior of ships that project the shield on that face or help project a shield towards that face. So yeah, shields are going to get updated too, and there are various ammo types that Cloud Imperium have been working on, like plasma and incendiary ammo, that will do different things based on where they hit and how they hit and all that sort of jazz. A big part of the changes that Star Citizen is making is further refining and tuning its flight model as well. Cloud Imperium are currently working on control surfaces, so flaps and aerodynamic bits on ships, and atmospheric flight updates to improve the way ships move and are affected by being in space versus being in different planets and their atmospheres, and your ship will be affected by its mass and its cargo, as well as each planet sort of having its own unique atmospheric profile. I do believe they're doing some bits for water as well, so ships will have buoyancy and be able to float on water. I think that's what it sounds like. Something quite interesting, Cloud Imperium are working on bringing all their ships up to gold standard. But what does that mean? Well, they're getting ready for physical components and the resource management system and all the other systems we just talked about. And they're making sure that all of the internals of a ship are the correct size, they meet all the current metrics, they've got all the cupboards and cabinets that they need for all of those components inside. Getting the ship to the sort of most update tech in-game is technically gold standard. So ships needed for Squadron 42 do take priority for this, but hang on, does that mean that technically each patch or update, the ships are out of date, so they're no longer gold standard? Well, sort of. If there have been improvements to something and a ship isn't up to that standard, up to the current gold standard, yeah, it will need updating at some point. But with this kind of stuff now, with the new way they make ships and all that, they don't need to constantly rework everything. It's kind of modular. It's additive rather than entirely reworkative. But the older ships, they do need to be brought up to standards, and that is going to be relatively time consuming. There are various other combat updates coming too. Cloud Imperium are working on a new targeting system. There are scanning and radar updates coming, and these things are coming in the not too distant future. A lot of this stuff's being tested out in the Squadron 42 branch currently. Component variants. That is something that's coming back hopefully pretty soon. It will allow for customization and balance and just a lot more fun and loadout choice rather than a lot of loadout choice not making much difference. That also will require balance. Obviously, balance is something they try and do from patch to patch, but it's more like they just don't want anything to be incredibly overpowered kind of balance rather than doing any form of detailed balance. Arena Commander updates are going to allow for much quicker balance for ship combat and the way ships fly in at least the more sort of smaller areas, and an arena to sort of test it quickly. So very, very useful Arena Commander. Obviously, there are persistent universe factors that also will need to be balanced as part of ship work too. The game should see balance much more frequently with the Arena Commander updates that are coming with 3.20, but it's going to be a while before every other system in game is in place. And until then, we're not going to have proper balance for Star Citizen because it's not balanced properly because we don't have all the gameplay systems in yet. We don't have all the core systems in yet. Customization is a massive thing in Star Citizen, as is modularity. So this will be coming in the future, basically allowing for whole rooms and their functions to be changed out. But as I said, with component variants, you can have a lot more customization that you can do on your ships. And there's going to be loads of items and other things that you can put in your ship's equipment and all that sort of jazz. Networking updates. Star Citizen suffers from desync and generally is unoptimized in its netcode and servers. Cloud Imperium are working on this. This is going to be one of the major things that we'll see a good lot of improvement to Star Citizen once it is a bit more optimized. Almost certainly going to have a significantly better experience in Arena Commander in that sort of environment than we are in the persistent universe in the short to mid term until they have like a load more networking updates and server meshing and stuff like that in. So all of this together is kind of the core of Star Citizen's flight, combat, multi-crew, and general ship mechanics, yeah? This all paired with Arena Commander updates, we could actually have a fantastic, competitive, and compelling, easily accessible ship combat game there. So with Arena Commander being the way you'd get players to start playing Star Citizen, what you want to dive into to test something out or to play competitively or whatever. The choice of ship loadouts in the persistent universe, that's what I'm really looking forward to. Having real reasons to choose particular weapons and components, and that's going to be based on what I'm trying to do. There's no one single meta. It's always a concern that there might just be an OP ship or loadout combination, and that's much more likely to happen during the alpha. Again, we haven't got all the gameplay systems in yet, and balance not ideal. But due to the complexity and size of the Star Citizen universe, you'll want to match systems and weapons by role and length of time that you're going to be out in the verse, as well as costs of running a ship and ballistics. I'm expecting to also see some updates to sort of like countermeasures and missiles and ship signals and things like that in the future, because that sort of weapon balance, that's super important, and we don't really know where we stand with all of it. How effective are missiles going to be? When to use them? How effective are they going to be at different sizes against different ships? Do you have to use them only when like a ship is burning really hot? How effective a countermeasure is going to be against them? There's just so much going on there, and it'll be nice to have that finalized. And or missiles to be really expensive as well, I suppose. NPC crews and AI blades, they're going to be a big part of helping automate some of your ship functions. They will allow you to do quite a lot, and although Cloud Imperium are working on them, they're going to be quite far out. So obviously NPC crews, you can hire a crew, they'll help you do the functions of your ship. And AI blades, they will have lots of different ones where you can like have them helping you with turrets, so they can do some basic turret functions and shoot at certain things, or you can maybe have a bounty hunter database with an AI blade taking up a computer slot, or automatically sending out countermeasures to the appropriate type of missile that are shot at you, things like that. Really looking forward to all of that. Boom! That's it for your look at the future of Star Citizen's flight, combat, and ship mechanics, and where master modes and the resource system are going. Are you looking forward to testing master modes out in Alpha 3.20? How long do you think before we get all of this in game? Are we talking 2-3 years, longer? Obviously, they are really actively working on master modes and the resource system at the moment. Is 2 or 3 years or longer too long? Do you think Cloud Imperium are working towards a finalised model for their flight and combat stuff? Or do you think they're going to completely overhaul it again and again like they have previously? Are you like me? And are you really looking forward to engineering and proper multi-crew gameplay, running around doing damage control, having lots of people on your ship, or communicating? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. The Tobii Eye Tracker 5 is on sale with 15% off until the 28th of July. They are natively supported in Star Citizen, giving you precision head and eye tracking that can help with immersion, as well as adding another level of control to your toolset. It's a cool piece of tech that you can use for streaming and seeing where your eyes are going, and loads of other games are supported too. Check out my links below to get one of those at discount. There are so many space games. Star Citizen is obviously king. Fight me. But how do you keep yourself secure and private while in space, away from the prying eyes of Big Pirate and Big NordVPN.com/BoredGamer. That gives you potentially the best protection in cyberspace. Oh, see what I did there? Stay safer online with a secure private internet connection that also helps you get access to the content you want. Let me give you some testimonials that I'll just make up now. I just turned off NordVPN and got ganked by a load of pirates. I turned off NordVPN and my legs fell off. There you have it. Get NordVPN, because if you're not going to believe those testimonials that I just made up, what are you going to believe? You can grab it from the links below. It's good and it's super cheap and I use it. There you go. Boom. Something else that's good is our ship giveaway. Salvage is the newest big gameplay loop at the moment in game, and we want to help you get involved with that, so we're giving away a Drake Vulture light salvage ship with lifetime insurance. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during July. More details in the description below. Thank you so much to everyone that goes the extra mile in supporting the channel with the join button under our videos, or becoming a Patreon, or donating, or even just subscribing and liking and commenting on our videos and sharing them. You'll get an occasional exclusive video. There's polls and posts to get involved with. Please consider joining them, because it really, really helps us out. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any feedback, please chuck it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you.